Hello there crafting friends, and welcome back. Today I want to do a little bit of prep work before I start my next project. So I'm going to be inking up some book pages from some book blocks that I've pulled out of hardcover books. So I've got my splat box ready, and I've got this piece of card which I add, which is covered in cling film. I'm also going to be using some different types of sprays that I've got, and I'm going to show you another version a little bit later on in the video. So I've got some Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and I have a variety of different colours, and I've got some Dilutions ink spray, and I've got some Dilutions shimmer spray. Now with the shimmer sprays, which would be these two, they have what we call the mica, which is the powder form that makes it sparkly. So you have to make sure that you mix it with the rest of the dye colour in there, if you can see it moving about in there. So I've got to mix that powdered pink in with the actual ink. So if I tap it to release it from the bottom of the bottle, and then it should mix in well with the liquid ink. And I don't know whether you'll be able to see the shimmer is now inside all of that liquid. Okay, so make sure that you do that with your sprays. So I've got some book pages here. Right, so I've just got a selection of book pages, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray some inks on here. Now you need to think about your colour wheel and about colours mixing with each other. So you don't want, trust me to choose the one that doesn't work. If this part's a bit disjointed, it's because postman's just been. So I went to use my pink spray, but the nozzle was clogged, so I'm going to have to clean that out. So I'm going to see if my green works. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of blue. I mean, it's really great fun, and it's a great way. I'm not going to use it. None of my inks are working. Come on. It's a great way of using up your ink sprays and getting rid of those book pages and making them pretty. So on there we've now got purple, green and blue. So as you can see from the dilutions, it sort of forms little puddles, but with the glimmer mist spray it does do a fine mist. So all I'm going, oh hang on, I've forgotten my water. So I'm adding a little bit of water as well. These bottles have been a godsend, and just to thin out the ink a little and make it go a little bit further, and then I'm just basically dipping the book page and running my fingers over. Now if you don't like getting inky fingers, you might want to wear a pair of gloves, and so you end up with something like that. But then you can go back in if there's any areas that have missed the ink, and you can add some more colours to that. Now I've got a bin bag on my floor because I normally do this downstairs in my dining room, but because I'm upstairs in my craft room I don't want to get the ink all on the carpet, so I've put a bin bag down on the floor. And I don't have to cover the whole page either. So as you can see, it's picking up a lot of colour, but there's these little areas here where you just get the dotty bits. They're great as well. So that's another one done. And you can soon get through quite a few book pages doing this, because you get into the realms of going, oh, I wonder if, oh, I wonder what. And so you start, and I did this the other day with my granddaughter. I was showing her how to do it, and she was having a whale of a time. Next thing we know, we've got about 50 book pages done. But it's always nice to have a little collection. So as you can see, I've got a big area here covered in ink, some beautiful vibrant colours there. But I've then got this section here, which is all like little bits of bobbles of colour. And we like those. And in case you didn't hear me, because I was bending over, I said, I like those. So, go in there, do a bit more from there. so well covered there, but I can see I've got some ink over here, so we'll mop that bit up. I'll mop that bit up. Okay, and we're going to get some big splodgy areas now, I think. So there's quite a lot of ink over there. Yeah. Okay. And I'm just going to add a little bit of extra water on top so that I can mop up the dregs of the ink that are left. And it should get paler in colour, though this bit's still quite concentrated over here, so see what we end up with. Much more of a watercolour effect. See how much paler that one is? In fact, I'm going to put a little bit more up there. Yeah, liking that. And then I'm just going to put down 2 sheets to just try and mop up some of this excess. There we go, so those are the last 2. So then I would remove my saran wrap, get my heat tool out, and I'm going to dry these pages. I'll do that off camera so that you don't have to listen to the noise. So I'll be back in a second. I've dried off those pages, but I'll show you those a little bit later on. Now, whilst these sprays are great, they're also very expensive, so there's no reason why you can't make your own. And that's using your ink refill bottles. And the other good thing about using these is that you can go on to go and make your own colours as well. So, you know, if I put these 2 together, which are the Stampin' Up inks, this one's Cherry Cobbler and this one is Pumpkin Pie. So I could actually add the pumpkin pie and then add a drop of the Cherry Cobbler and make a completely different sort of variation of the colour. I've also got a load of these little ink spray bottles. Okay, so they've got the spray bit at the top, and then you undo the do-ins, and you've got this little tube that I can fill up with some ink. So I've got my Stampin' Up inks, I've got some Tim Holtz Distress inks, and I've also got some Winsor & Newton pen inks, so we're going to use those as well. So I'm going to use these first because they've got their own little dropper on, and I don't want to make masses up because I only want a few pages doing. So I've put five-ish drops of that ink in there, and I've got my water bottle and a pipette, and I'm just going to add some water to it to just thin out the ink and to make it more fluid. So I'm only doing 1/3 of a bottle for now. So that you can see I haven't got much because I don't actually need much. You saw just from one spray of each of those colours. I've lost the lid. There we go. From each of those colours, 2 or 3 of those, each of those colours, I got several pages out of it. So this one's going to be Cherry Cobbler. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that came out fast. So I'll put about 5 drops of ink in there. And then get some water with my pipette and fill it up to about 1/3, 1/4 to 1/3 of the way full. There we go. So I'm going to go off and go and make some of these up. And I could put little labels on as well, if I want to keep those colours. Or if I make up my own concoction of mixing colours together, then I could keep a little notebook of how many drops of each ink I put in and which ink it was. And then it means that if I really like the colour, and I can repeat it. So I'll go off and go and do this, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Made up my inks. These three were the Stampin' Up inks. This one is a mixture of these two colours. So I used mainly the pumpkin spice and then added just a couple of drops of the cherry cobbler, and it's made a much more vivid orange colour. These two were the Tim Holtz inks, and this was the fountain ink. Okay, so those are the colours that I'm going to be using now. So I'm just going to mix them up, and these are just the Stampin' Up colours. So I've got the cherry cobbler, the pumpkin spice. That's quite a vibrant colour, isn't it? Comes out well though. And then, so that was the cherry cobbler, the pumpkin spice, and the green one, which was called Old Olive. I like an olivey green. Now I've got to be careful because green mixed with these two colours will make brown. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of water to just help them to merge together a little bit, and we'll start again. And I would imagine I'm going to get a lot of pages out of this, so I'm going to put some music on and speed this bit up, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so the last three colours that I'm going to use now are the two Tim Holtz colours and the pen ink. So let's get them sprayed on. So I'm going to go with the two darker colours first, which will be the Tim Holtz green, the fountain ink, and then I'm just going to add some of the paler Tim Holtz blue in between, and you can already see, look, where it's mixing with the green, it's giving me a lovely jadey colour. Okay, add some water, and off we go again. Music Maestro. So these are the results, now they're all dry, of the inks that I've used. So on this pile here I used Dilutions, Crushed Grape, Dilutions, Fresh Lime, and Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. Where's it? Tell me the colour. Tone on Tone Blue. Okay, so that's those. This pile here I used the 3 Stampin' Up inks of Pumpkin Pie and Old Olive and Cherry Cobbler. So that's those 3. And then these here I used my Tim Holtz Distressing, I think that was something olive. I can't see the name of it now, so it's got covered in ink. Tumbled Glass and a fountain pen ink by Winsor & Newton. And what I love about these two is the fact that I've still got all this ink left. So from the pages that I've created, I think I created around about 6 or 7 pages just from that one batch of spray, and I've still got a ton of ink left, so I could do some more. What I like about these pages is because it got the glimmer mist in, and I don't know whether we'll come across, yeah, we'll come across a page where you can actually see the glimmer. So I like the look of the mica powder on there because it gives it that little bit of glimmer. I can add mica powder to these, and one of the cheapest ways of doing it is to actually get some eyeshadow and break it up into a fine powder and then add a little bit of the fine powder to it. It needs to be fine because otherwise it'll clog up your spray, so you do need to be aware of that. So let's go through each of the individual pages so that you can see what they now look like. And as I say, you may be able to see some of the glimmer on there, some of the mica powders on there. And as I say, some of them come out solid, some of them come out splotchy, and both will work. And then the last 2, we're using up the last dregs on the page, but on the board, so that I can still use those. So that's that pile. This is the red and the orange and the green. These have come out really vibrant, and then as it's got to the last few pages, you can see it's got a lot lighter. So instead of it looking orangey, it now looks sort of peachy coloured. And then the blue and the green. Let's turn them that way on so that you can see the colours better. So this was the first lot of inks. I do love this marbling effect that you get here on the edges of the page. Okay, so if we work on the assumption that I've done roughly 7 pages in each, so that's 1 7 7, 2 7s are 14, 3 7s are 21. In fact, I think I had about 20 pages, so there you go. So I've managed to do 20 pages within a few minutes, and I've still got a ton of ink left, so I can mix and match the colours up and get a different combination together as well. One of my favourite selection of colours is to use a purple and a green and a yellow, and just a tiny hint of maybe a red colour in there as well. I love those rainbow effect colours. Those are my favourites, but that's what I've produced with the inks today. In the next video, I'm going to show you what I'm actually going to do with these. It's all right doing this stuff, but then you need to use it. So I'll show you that in the next video. Thanks for joining me again today, and I hope that you will go off and go and have a play. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so that you get the announcements as to when I put videos up. And if you'd love to leave me a comment, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks ever so much. Bye for now. Bye. Oh, inky fingers. Ugh.